Hi everybody, long time no see. I hope you're all doing so well and enjoying the recent springtime weather. So today I have a lot going on and I figured it might be a good opportunity to kind of film like a spring updates type thing or like just a daily like routine vlog, but that's kind of my plan for today. You can see Chevy's behind me being very antsy. I haven't fed the horses yet. I just got here like 10 minutes ago, but yeah, my plan for the day is to just film all the things I have to do. I have lessons, I have feeding, there are some new horses, and all of that, so we'll see how it goes. So the first thing I'm doing this morning is pretty predictable. I do it every morning. I'm just walking around, checking on all the horses, making sure everyone's okay and hasn't gotten lame in the night or something along those lines or just caused trouble, making sure everyone's there, all that. So you can see me just walking among the stalls, waving to some of the horses, and yeah. Horses have been coming and going in the barn quite a bit recently. Don't worry, nobody familiar has gone, just various people have been leasing some of them, and some boarders have taken away their horses, so it's a little bit hard to keep track of who's all here and who I need to feed, but I'm just making sure everybody's all good before I start feeding them, and then that's the next thing that I plan to do. So in typical Pesto behavior, she started throwing a absolute tantrum, and she does this sometimes when when she starts feeling cooped up, and she'd been in her stall overnight, which normally she goes out in the field, but she was limping a little bit yesterday and she was a bit sore. I wanted to make sure everything was okay, but I didn't want her to get any more hurt, so I just ran over. She was kind of bucking and rearing. I made sure that she wouldn't hurt me if I went in the stall, and then just made sure she was okay. She's just hangry and bored, so, it is what it is. But for that, I sort of decided it would be better to let her run a little bit, so I took her out to the bigger arena that we have, and I just put her there. I left a note on the barn door saying that it was occupied and I was just letting her run around and spend some time in there, and then I went back to the barn and started the feedings. After a bit of running around, I did have somebody move her to a pasture just so that the arena could be used if people needed it, or just so that she could be in a little bit more of an enclosed space. And she seemed a little more chill now. She was still walking around, pacing, waiting for her food, but I'd get to her in a little bit when I started feeding the pasture horses. So back at the barn, I was serenaded by the usual chorus of neighs and stomping hooves and impatient horses waiting for their grain and their hay. Clearly, I was a few minutes too late today because even North, who's normally chill about feeding, was putting his head over the stall door and pacing around and waiting for me to feed him. Here's Casino finding the camera. So I braced myself for a long morning of feeding because I had no one to help me this morning, and that's what I'm doing now. So after feeding the last horse on the back part of the stable, I returned to the feed room and I heard the familiar sound of tiny clopping hooves, and I turned around to see Percy being very helpful, trying to break into the feed room. So he was sitting in the doorway staring at me, which I can't believe I caught on camera. So I wrangled him back, and now I'm just going on to the next part of my day, where I am traveling over to Jorvik Stables to watch an old friend of mine and her new horse work through some just riding and groundwork and jumps, because this horse can jump crazy high. It's actually insane, and it'll be really fun. So that's where I'm going next, and I'm also going to exercise, Francesca, because she needs to lose that baby weight. So this is Amelia and her mare Indigo, who she's had for a little over a year now, and honestly, I'm not here to coach or anything. I'm not here to I'm not here to watch them for the purpose of buying Indigo or anything. I'm literally just here to watch them ride and cheer her on, because I've not talked to her in quite a while and I would love to see how they're doing. They started off on some groundwork before eventually moving into the bigger jumps part of the lesson, and I'm definitely not going to talk over this whole thing. I'm just going to put on some music and let you guys watch this amazing pair. I was absolutely blown away at how hard they've been working and how incredible of a jumper Indigo is. I'd love to see more of them in the future, hopefully in the show ring, but now it was time to say goodbye to Amelia and go exercise Francesca because, like I said, she had a baby a little over 2 years ago now. I'm sure you've seen her in some of my videos, or in a previous video at least. I'm sorry, I'm all out of whack recently, but she sort of gained quite a bit of weight with that baby, and she's generally a very athletic horse. She's always been a little on the chunkier side, but not unhealthy in any way. She's still not unhealthy, but it's just that I want her to get back into that athletic build and be able to do all of the things she used to do, and right now she's just not at that point. So we haven't been doing anything more than groundwork and occasionally doing some poles, but my main goal for today is to just do some stuff that'll break a sweat and get her working and thinking about what she's doing, and hopefully that will help her on her journey to lose a little bit of that weight. The last thing I'm doing before I hop off her for the day is some walk to canter transitions, which she hates but is actually pretty good at, and it's a good way to get her thinking about what she's doing and get her focused on doing stuff that's a little bit harder. The next part of my day is I will be teaching a lesson with one of my familiar lesson students. She asked that I not share her name for privacy reasons, but she is going to be taking Orpheus out for a little ride and to have a lesson. They're just going to do some flat work because Orpheus needs to get his brain out of the mindset that all he ever does is jump, and she is not quite at the level where she's comfortable jumping yet, so it works out well for the both of them. So she just warmed him up before eventually they began working on some collected canter stuff, which, if you didn't know, Orpheus is really, really bad at collected canter. He's a very heavy horse, so he finds it much, much easier to go faster so that he can carry his weight easier, but he can't go fast all the time, and he's just too lazy for it. It's not as if it hurts him in any way. He's just lazy, and he's a big horse, and so collected canter is something that I've been working on with him, and I've been having my lesson students work on with him, and it's been going pretty well, but, you know, it is what it is. And then just doing some sitting trot, which Orpheus also thinks means walk, and that is not the case, so definitely something that they're working on. And to end the lesson off on a good note, I let them go out in this field and just kick it into full gear and have a fun little gallop across the field because Orpheus loves going fast, like I mentioned previously, and so does my lesson student. Then they just took a quick little walk back down to the barn through the apple orchard, and she gave him lots of pats and cuddles because he's a very good boy, he always is, and that was the end of their lesson for the day. So now, after a little bit over an hour of doing barn chores and boring stuff that I didn't think it was useful to film, I am back here up at the barn tacking up Chevy, who is making quite a fuss, as usual. He's fussy. But I trailered back down to Jorvik Stables, and something I've been working on with Chevy lately is tackling those bigger jumps, and by bigger I really do mean bigger. My heart kind of races every time he launches himself at them, but I've been trying to get him to compete at a bigger height, and they just installed some really nice jumps here, so I am just going full send today and tackling some really huge jumps. However, for his safety and mine, we definitely have to get a good warm-up going, so some of the jumps are smaller, you can see in the later clips, and I definitely tackle those first, make sure he's not lame or uncomfortable or just not feeling it for that day. But even before that, I'm just warming him up at a walk, trot, and canter, and definitely, getting a feel for him and making sure that he can tell me if anything's wrong if he needs to. But so far everything was going well on the flat work portion of it, so we started heading for some of the bigger jumps some of the smaller jumps, and you can just see how that goes. Chevy was an absolute dream over the smaller jumps. As usual, he really does have a passion for jumping, and I can feel it every time we go over jumps, big or small, and it's so fun. So I gave him a well-deserved walk break and a little time to just calm down before I had my friend help put the jumps up way high, and we started going for them. And I have to admit, I tensed up every single time we started approaching the jump, but he handles these so amazingly, and it's actually really fun. I feel like I'm flying, and we were having a great time. I was not trying any of the combos yet, we were not there, but I was just going over a few of the same jumps just to get a feel for how he was doing that day. In the slowed down clips, you can really see just how much he has to push to get over these jumps, and I'm so impressed that this little horse I have can jump so high, but he was just going like a champ. You can see there are some spots where I let him go really fast, and normally I don't do that, but in order to get himself over these jumps, he does need to pick up that speed and really make sure that he has enough momentum to launch himself over these huge poles. So, yeah. Stop my yapping after this, but I just wanted to mention we kept coming back to this purple and pink combo, and this one was definitely the one that scared me the most. It's close together, and it's hard for him to land and pick up that momentum again in time, so we did knock a few poles a couple times, which definitely I think I left my stomach before the jumps, but he still just handled it so well, and we were having an absolute blast. I am genuinely ridiculously proud of Chevy for everything he did today. It all just amazed me, and you can see there are some awesome pictures that I managed to get, but he is now going to go back to the pasture with his best friend Chili and have some very, very well-deserved rest time and so many cuddles and treats. I mentioned earlier that there were some new horses around the barn, and this is the first one you'll meet today. This is Scotch. He's a young Selle Francais gelding. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I don't 100% know the pronunciation, but we don't know exactly how old he is. He was a rescue. They found him in an abandoned spot. The vets guess he's probably somewhere around 10 or 11, but like I said, they don't know. And I've really just been working to get him more comfortable being ridden. He has his spicy moments for sure and doesn't always listen to what I'm saying, so we've been doing simple things like long trail rides, lots of flat work and pole work to get him to think about what he's doing. And it's definitely been a journey, but he's such a sweet horse. He's absolutely incredible to ride and to be around, and I really can't wait for what the future holds with him. So as you can see, I'm now here in the Hollow Woods, which is somewhere near Valedale. They have a lot of really amazing trails here. Scotch, stand still, please. I'm trying to do like an intro thing. Anyway, sorry. So I'm going to be just going around some of those trails, just trying to have a fun time with him because I think he learns a lot better when he's having fun. And yeah, so I'm kind of just gonna montage that, and I think it'll be great. So now I am right back near the ranch, and there's kind of this stretch of road. And so, like I said, Scotch is a very young horse, and he has a lot of energy. So sometimes at the end of these rides, I will just let him full tilt, just send it down the strip of road. And so that's what we're doing here. I had my friend give me the okay, and then we did it, and it was really fun. And then I'm just walking him back to the barn, and that kind of ends our ride for the day.